Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night. It's good to be back in the building live. What's up to everybody out there? Appreciate y'all sliding through tonight. First and foremost, big shout out to my lovely wife, Takara. Y'all make sure y'all show us some love in the comments, man. Really appreciate y'all, and we appreciate the support. Let's do some real quick housekeeping stuff. Where can you find us, man? You can find us on Morph Market. Hatchling season is upon us. We're starting to hatch some clutches, so we're definitely going to have that uploaded in the very near future, or updated in the very near future. Also find us on Instagram, Herp Collectors and Herp Collectors Network. And make sure you check out all the shows we got on Herp Collectors Network. We got Chondro Corner on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesdays, every other Tuesday, we got the Retake Rundown at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we got this show, Clutch Conversations. And then every other Saturday, we got Double Clutch at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you check out all the shows. You can also follow us on Facebook at Herp Collectors, and definitely check out this show and all the other shows on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. And definitely when you're checking us out, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. Appreciate the help and appreciate the support. Also, make sure you're supporting both USARK and USARK Florida. The link for both organizations are in the description of this video. Definitely drop a donation if you can. Get your membership. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, and spread the word about both these organizations. It's helping protect our rights as reptile keepers. And if you're not in it already, definitely join the Double Clutch Patreon. We're having a lot of fun in there, man. The membership keep growing, man. We got all kinds of perks, from discounts on animals, Zoom calls, chats. We got chats on Instagram. We got chats on Discord. There's opportunities to win trips. It's going to be Patreon meetups. So definitely join the Double Clutch Patreon today. Going to show some real quick love to the sponsors, and after that, we'll be right back. Ready to take your game to the next level? Join KINOVA's Patreon and access a treasure trove of exclusive content. You'll get deep dives into the latest genetics, breeding strategies, and market trends. Whether you're curious about the direction of established genes or want projections on the next big thing, the KINOVA Patreon has what you need. With memberships available up to the student tier, there's no better time to learn from the world's leading ball python designer. Elevate your game. Join the KINOVA Patreon today. Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life. In life, success doesn't come to you. You go to it. In this game, forward thinking is the key to innovation and staying relevant. Plan your work and work your plan. Lose yourself in the art. Lose yourself with wetter morphs. Big shout out to the sponsors, man. Y'all make sure y'all following, making sure you're picking up some of their offerings. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. Big Will, what's good? Will's hella heat in the building. Shauna, what's up, sis? Appreciate you coming out. Big Fred, what's good? What's good, cuz? Appreciate you coming out, homie. Tom, what's good? Low Life Exotics in the building. We got Celtic Reptiles in the building. What's good? What's good, fam? Big Bosa, the Sultan of Support himself. What's up? We got the homie Malaysia Wiz Constrictors in the building again. What's good, homie? Appreciate you coming out. See who else we got. John, what up, homie? Appreciate you coming out, brother. Benny, what's up? Double Clutch Patreon member in the building. Let me back up to the homie Wiz too, because that's another Double Clutch Patreon member in the building. What's good to both of y'all? Appreciate the support. Fred, what's good? James, what's up, homie? Appreciate you coming out. See who else we got. Pipset in the building. What's good, Ashley? Appreciate you coming out. And we're going to stop it right there. We're going to kick the intro. And then after that, we'll be right back.
Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lady, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up, spit this cold. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
What's good, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's up? Where'd Trail go?
What's up? He kept going in and out. I don't know if you're having a connectivity issue. I don't know if it's something on my end. So question for y'all. So are the videos buffering for y'all on y'all end? Because it's buffering on my side.
No, it looked great. Everything
looks straight. Okay,
yeah,
so it's just happening on my side.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. At least it ain't happening for everybody else. I did see Terrell go in and out like twice, so I'm assuming he'll be right back. But happy to have y'all here, man.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, been looking forward to this all week. We've been away from the lives for about 2 weeks. Last week we did a pre-recorded episode because of the hurricane and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure I had something posted. So it's good to be back live in the building.
Mm-hmm. Where are you located again?
Gainesville, Florida.
So how you made it through okay?
Yeah. We were fortunate, man. The weather wasn't too bad here. I know the time before that, because we basically had hurricanes like 2 weeks apart. So the time before that, we lost power and stuff like that. I ended up having to cancel the show. So I didn't know what to expect as far as like timing and stuff like that. So I wanted to be safe. And so I just went ahead and pre-recorded the show.
I'm glad you guys are okay. I know a lot of people got hit pretty hard. It's sad.
Yeah, man. That sucked. A lot of people got hit pretty bad.
I'm on this.
Terrell, you good? I think we lost him again.
I think I've seen him on some other ones where I think he cuts in a little bit. I wonder if it's just his location.
I wonder, I know a lot of times if he's on his phone, if he doesn't put on the Wi-Fi, tries doing 5G, that screws me up all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm on my laptop. I don't know what's going on. I'm on this KG Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on right now.
Not the KG Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
so
I'm on this KG Wi-Fi, man.
So did you guys go to Tinley?
No.
Yeah. Me and Randy did.
These guys are the ballers, man. They get to go.
Yeah. Nice. So talk about Tinley, man. How was Tinley, man? I was upset that I couldn't go, so I'm gonna live through y'all. Talk about Tinley.
I mean, from my standpoint, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's honestly, it's about the same thing as a super show. Like if you haven't been to one of the super shows out here in California, it's way bigger. The thing, like I noticed, I talked to people at Tinley. I didn't see any chameleons. There's a lot of animals that I don't see going there. It's like somebody said, it's our Super Bowl of ball pythons. So, I mean, it's a little different. I like seeing people I don't get to see but twice a year, but I love the super shows because I love seeing the variety of all the animals.
Gotcha. Did you pick up anything while you're in Tinley?
No, actually, no, I didn't. I'm tough right now, man. I'll tell you, for me to get an animal, I really need it because I'm trying to cut down about 200 snakes. I'm at capacity. Want to cut down.
You trying to cut down 200? Or are you trying to cut 200?
No, I'm trying to cut 200 animals down. I'm sitting at about just what I have here myself, probably about 450.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of animals. How about you, Mike? How many you have? How big is your collection?
I think I'm at like probably 120 or so. I had a bunch more when Terrell's stuff was over, but since he's gotten back and land-based and stuff, we'll talk about that later, I'm sure. I think I'm back down to about 110, 120. I'd like to cut down a little bit too. I'd probably like to get to like a solid 30, 45 adult females, something like that. I'm at like 60 adult females, so I'm not a huge collection, but it's got some good stuff in it.
Gotcha. Yeah, for me too, man. I'm sitting around like about, I don't know, maybe like 150, 160 or something like that. Like nothing too big. And I can definitely stand to cut down some stuff too, because we just started hatching stuff, so inevitably or hopefully we have some holdback. And so I definitely started like cycling some stuff out.
Nice, yeah. Good way to do it.
Terrell, you there?
The other one building everything.
I can hear you. Yeah, I'm about. I mean, just because my hatching season is over, I'm about. I'll say 180 animals. Probably 55 like breeder females. I would like to get that to 100 at some point, but like not drastically at one time, but like over the next few years to kind of get that up to 100 breeder females. It's kind of like the cap I want to get at slowly over time.
Well, come up to Long Beach. I'll help you out.
For sure. No, yeah, I still owe you a trip up there for sure.
So this is a question for anybody, like an open-ended question. So like when y'all looking at y'all collection and try to cut back, do y'all like do that on a regular basis? Just kind of like looking like maybe year over year or something like that and saying, hey, this doesn't fit my breeding plans? Because I know that's what I've been trying to do. But I think I've come to the realization I got to be a little bit more real with myself and like just kind of like sometimes pull the trigger before I necessarily want to pull the trigger. Because I look at my collection now and I can identify like maybe 20 animals that I don't necessarily have to have for my breeding purposes. Like they would help, but I got other animals that are a little bit better or similar and stuff like that. And so I find myself holding on to too much stuff. What's y'all's process with that?
Yeah, so I kind of go through it periodically. I'll try and weed out stuff that's, if I've got holdbacks that have grown up and are kind of in that ballpark that they may go. Like I'll try to get rid of the ones that are maybe hets for those, and obviously keep visuals if I'm working with say recessive projects or something. But my hardest part is the like I get a little too sentimental to all these animals. Like I've got them. They all have a name. They're not like a pied number 1, 2, 3 or whatever. They all have names and everything. So for me, it's that sentimental side that I just got to kind of get past. That's always been my hardest part. But I try to weed through and get the most gene-packed animals that I can, or or at least like I said, the visuals over heads and stuff like that. And that's about it. That's probably my biggest process.
What about you, Terrell?
They're all frozen again.
It's like someone said he's got that Dodgers Wi-Fi.
Big shout out to the homie Juan for the super chat. Windy City Morphs. Hope to see you in a couple weeks, bro, at the KINOVA facility tour. Big shout out to the homie Big Ed 262. Appreciate the super chat. Wiz Tang fam in the building. So what about you, Randy? And I apologize too if I'm like pausing a whole bunch of times, because like on my side stuff freezing too, and so it's kind of hard for me to keep up with what's going on in real time because it's freezing for me too. Like I can hear y'all perfectly, but sometimes the screen freezing.
No, you seem good on this side, man.
Okay.
I mean, I go through mine every feeding day. Like, oh fuck. No, you know, seriously, that is part of it. Is some of the most successful people I know have small collections, but they're high end. And I think we all get in the habit at some point of we see something that we think is beautiful, so we'll go and buy it or try to make it or something, and it doesn't fit into our plans. And you really have to reel yourself in. And so that's what I do. I go through here. I look at how many clutches I can handle a year. I look at my feeders. If I'm going out and I'm spending $1,000 a month or $1,000 on a pallet of rat food, you know, the bedding, and I'm still spending $200 to $400 a week buying feeders, I need to cut down. I look at quality of care. When I get to a point I don't have time to properly care for them 100% all the time, that's time for me to cut a bunch of animals.
Gotcha. Are you handling like all those animals by yourself?
So I got my buddy Michael. He's been with me for, God, I don't know, 15 years. He comes down and he does the rats, and I usually take care of the snakes. But I mean, it's tough. I get up at 2:30 for work in the morning. I get home at 3 in the afternoon. So usually I'll do a feeding day. I'll do some cleaning sporadically, and then weekends are usually big cleaning days, washing tubs, doing all that.
And did you say you're doing this full time?
No. I have a regular day job. I'm at 50 to 70 hours a week.
Okay, with your regular day job?
Yeah.
Yep, sounds familiar. What about you, Mike? You do this full time or?
No.
You're a fireman, right?
I'm a firefighter. Yeah. So, what's cool about these animals and like Randy's talked about rats and stuff. I used to breed my own rats for a while, or at least a good chunk of rats. And I started going on these fires for 2 weeks. That's not conducive to maintaining a rodent colony. So the snakes are obviously a little bit easier if I do get sent out on a fire for a couple weeks. My wife will pull clutches for me now, and she hasn't had to do that in a while. But I got some buddies that are local too that'll come by, and if I text them at 2 in the morning or whatever, hey, I'm leaving to North California, they'll swing by and check on some stuff if I need to during that time. But that's the other part of cutting it down a little bit, is just not having to maintain so much stuff. I think like Randy said, especially for people who are building their collections, it's not just seeing whether it's pretty. Like, oh, I got this great deal on a snake, But if it doesn't fit into any kind of plan, then what kind of deal is it? If you buy some male, some cool gene animal, but you don't have any females to go for, let's say that's a recessive project, how good a deal is it? It's not. It's just another mouth to feed. So you got people got to be selective, and when they bring stuff in, kind of think of the future, what their plans are.
Yeah, 100%. And like you hit the nail on the head with like just managing like the animals, managing kind of everything with being like in and out and stuff. Because like I know even for me, like if I go out of town for the weekend, like to a show or something like that, I kind of have to adjust like all the other processes around it, and the animal's going animal, so you got to make it work. You know what I mean? And so it can be like a lot to manage. And so the more it is to manage.
Mm-hmm.
especially like when you work in another job too. So talk about how you guys met.
Oof. Sorry about the connection issues. I just switched over to my phone.
I think you're good now because like your image all
Whatever you
clear.
did,
Yeah,
this is a clear spin on the whole thing.
I went over to my phone. So I met Mike 2018 at my first expo ever at it was a Repticon, Costa Mesa Repticon, and then Randy. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but I met him at Pomona in 2018. It was probably the October 2018 Pomona.
This guy's a
And I remember walking up to him because Randy had, this was when probably the first puzzle I seen in person. Wasn't at Randy's table, but then Randy had puzzles at his table, and I was just, at the time, Bamboozles was like my favorite thing, and like I'm trying to ask Randy about Puzzle Gene or whatever, and I think he asked me something to the point of like, how much money did I have or something like that, and conversation went from there, and then I think we were messaging back and forth on Facebook, and same for Mike. I bought my first, my most expensive snake at the time was from Mike, and then just a relationship built from there. I think probably every other night I was texting him, asking questions about husbandry and taking care of ball pythons. And then same for Randy. We connected on Facebook, and then just a bunch of questions. I ended up going underway, and our relationship just kept building from there. Him being a retired chief out in the Navy, so we had that connection and stuff. So we just kind of relationships kept building, conversating, buying animals. So yeah.
So the first project you jumped in was puzzle?
No. First project I jumped in was pods. So that's why me and Mike were, we got locked in on the pod stuff for sure. Yeah, pod is what brought me into ball pythons.
Gotcha.
Yep, pretty much what he said. That's exactly how we met.
Yeah.
It was good though.
And I don't know if I caught like what was so unpleasant about it. Was it the fact that he asked you if you had a lot of money? Like what was unpleasant?
No, it was just like listen, I'm gonna tell you, Randy is a teddy bear, but he can come off not really approachable. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe it's at the time he didn't even have a beard, so I don't even know what it was that makes Randy like that. But I walked up to him, and maybe for me, I'm a person who does a lot of research before they dive into something. And so I'm seeing these YouTube videos and all this stuff, and they're talking about the old school breeder, and like how these people from Florida are, rude or whatever. Not saying Randy's from Florida, but then I run into a guy, and it's, the first interaction isn't that pleasant, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's one of them. Okay, like so, just that's just what I assumed about him. But again, as we kept talking, he's a great, really good guy, both of them.
I just talked about that at Tilly with people, and it's funny because Donald again Morphs says that I just look unapproachable, and it's funny because anyone that knows me knows I just keep shit real, like and so I think that's what happens a lot of times when I'm messing with people or joking and they don't know me, they don't realize that's how I am. But yeah, I think I do. That's why for your picture I smiled, because Donald he's like, you need to smile, man. You're not approachable. He's like, maybe it's the beard. I'm like, I just rub people wrong with my delivery. So
like you think that's ever affected like a sale or something like that?
Hey, my wife just said Randy has the resting bitch face in male form.
I do. I don't know. Yeah, but yet I'm the guy at shows dropping my pants in my underwear and doing stupid shit, and yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Yeah,
at least he answered or talked with you, Terrell, when you came up, because there's a lot of guys who are that unapproachable, the old school guy. What if you didn't come up flashing a bunch of cash when you get at their booth? They don't even get up from the back of the booth and or say anything to you. So at least he acknowledged you when we're there.
Yeah, acknowledge me as a person. Yeah.
Now, when I first started, I had guys talking shit about me in front of me after I gave them the money. I mean, I remember buying snakes and handing them thousands of dollars and, saying that I was going to go breed and start selling on, God, back then it was like king snake or.
Oh, yeah.
And
king snake, fauna classifieds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They just sat there. I remember laughing. Oh, you're going to go sell balls. Like, yeah, guy, you're not the only guy in town that can breed a fucking ball python.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you say anything to him?
At the time, I don't think I really did because even though I had animals for years and years, but I hadn't bred and they had bigger animals. And then, God, it was over 25 years ago or something. So I think I just wanted to get knowledge, so I didn't say anything. But today, yeah, I'd probably have a thing or two to say.
Yeah. One said Randy definitely rubbed him the wrong way.
With all the stuff I post about me and Joe and Donald, yeah, I can see people putting that down.
Yeah.
Well, I've never had anything but pleasant conversations with Randy, so I'm a unique one there. He's always been just nice and approachable and kind of goofy, kind of sarcastic. That's all I've ever seen him. So
yeah, I love the straightforward. I think that's needed in a lot of stuff. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. So, Mike, how long have you been doing ball pythons?
So I got my first. I've had animals and snakes and stuff growing up as a kid, but I got my first ball python in 2008, and then my girlfriend at the time was like, "Oh, we just happened to go to a show." And she's like, "Oh, that's pretty," and it was like a pastel yellow belly ball python, and it was like $350 or whatever, and I'm like, okay, so we got it, and we were the new people. You still had to go buy a enclosure and stuff, and then maybe 6 months later, got another one, and then another one, and I got into breeding in 2011. So I kind of got the idea like in 2009 to it'd be kind of cool to breed these things, whatever. And then 2011, I did. Back then, you couldn't just pull up and get, all these professional breeders out there that give you all the kind of information in the world. Now you couldn't get any of that back then. Randy knows, and then it was just like pulling teeth to get any information from people or guidance or mentorship or anything like that. So I got a couple guys that kind of helped me out and kind of pointed me in the right direction. And so in 2011, I started breeding and been breeding ever since.
Gotcha. You think it was like pulling teeth just because people was trying to hold it close to the vest so they can get ahead of the project and stuff?
Yeah, I think that people didn't want competition. They didn't want any of that stuff,
At the time, did you see any of that changing?
Oh, yeah. I think over time, everything's changed. Now the harder part is deciphering who actually has valid information.
I was saying like back then when it was like that, did you foresee that it was going to change?
Not really. At least my side of things, like I knew that that's what I would change about it. I was always, when I do vend, I haven't vended for a couple of years now, but when I do vend, we put on a really nice looking display. Everything's clean. Everything's like, I usually vend with a couple other buddies, and like they'll joke that, he's like the, ringleader of everything and making sure everything, but it's like we have a really nice, really clean looking booth. Everyone that comes up is approached, and everyone that gets acknowledged and talk to them and interact and stuff. So there's none of that old school, like the people who are sitting there at the back just waiting for cash to fly. And like we're very approachable. I always have animals on hand. I'll answer questions. I don't care. I could have a $10,000 snake on the table, and I could have somebody looking for their first pet snake for like a $40 pastel or something, and we'll talk. I'll be talking to these people just as much as I talk to anybody else. So we have definitely changed that, at least the approachability, every time we do that stuff. And like Terrell had mentioned, he'd hit me up every day, every other day on questions, and we're always make sure we're answering questions, because it's, to me, for a long time, I would never call myself like a business. Like I always call myself a hobbyist. My wife, who's like this, like a business coach and entrepreneur, she's like, she hated it, but I'm like, that's just the way I look at it, So I always wanted to be approachable. So that was the biggest thing I think I'd changed, for at least from what I could,
Gotcha. Yeah, we was talking about that the other day on one of the shows, just like people being kind of standoffish, like as an actual vendor, and like not greeting people when they come to the table and not acknowledging people when they come to the table. And that turns a lot of people off. You know what I'm saying? Like you come into the table and they're just kind of like acting like you're not even there. You're not worth their time. So it's like, well, why spend my time at this table? I just go to another table that's got some of the same snakes that you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
So project wise, Mike, what all projects are you working?
Well, like Terrell said, I'm heavy into Pied. Got some DG stuff is starting up now. Clown, DG Clown, DG Pied stuff. Hypo is always something I've always loved and kind of still work. It's kind of had a resurgence. It was like when I first got into it, it was kind of big, and then it just dumped. Like it was like no one was interested in hypo, and then I still made some beautiful animals. I've always loved it. So on the recessive side, that's the primary stuff. So Orange Dreams always worked into that. Yellow Bellies worked into that. Pinstripe, Enchi, kind of the classic basic stuff. But now it's just the making of multiple recessives and things of that nature.
Yeah, hypo's dope. I love hypo. Like I try to work hypo in a whole bunch of stuff. That's one of my favorites for real.
Mm-hmm.
What about, so are y'all working kind of like the same projects? Like what project are you working, Terrell?
So I would say mainly now, puzzle, clown, Pied, hypo Pied, DG Pied, DG Clown, different type of puzzle stuff, things like that. So I have like I got one Ultramel, but yeah, mainly puzzle, Pied, and clown stuff with DG hypo in there as well. Lace, redhead is probably my favorite right now as far as codoms. Redhead
codom?
Lace, yeah.
Gotcha. And what about you, Randy?
Have to definitely
everything.
No, not everything.
Got a big
Atari, OFY.
I would say, definitely, like I said, puzzle, because I've got probably 5 or 6 other recessives into my puzzle. And then, like Terrell said, the OFY, which is my gene, and I'm still trying to work the Atari project and try to get it a little recovered from what somebody else did to kind of tank the project.
So give us the rundown on the OFY.
So I got a snake back around 2008, and I remember I used to call it my ugly fire. I was like, oh, maybe it's an ugly fire, because I didn't really know. There's something about it. And so when I first bred it, I ended up getting 3 snakes that looked like the old desert gene. And I had desert, but I knew I hadn't paired them. And so I realized it was something else. And I've taken years in breeding it and pretty much isolated it. It cleans really well, does do some stuff to the pattern. You'll start seeing it. I'm going to probably next year post a bunch more. I've got about 6 clowns with OFY. So yeah, you'll see more.
Does it have a super?
No, so originally that's why when I bred Son back to mom, I was like, what's the first thing I'm going to say if I see something really crazy like a super? And I said, oh, fuck yeah. what do you want, man? I'm old, white,
You
and
got
chubby.
that, huh?
But yeah, I think there is a super, but it's just like leopard or pinstripe. It just looks the same. Just everything produced has the gene.
Gotcha. You say you're working in clown and what other recessive, or did you say another recessive?
Let's see. I've got puzzle, clown, and I think that's it right now. Just those two.
Okay. And going back to, you mentioned like the deserts. Did you ever try to like breed those? Because I don't heard stories about like the desert and like that having like the breeding problems and stuff like that. So did you kind of like learn that the hard way, and did you invest a lot of money in that project?
So our original desert male, I paid $7,500 for it. We made a couple world's firsts with it, and of a female, but we were going to keep it. And before we started breeding any females that had desert in it is when it came out. So I think that original male, I gave it to my friend's daughter, gave her a tank and gave her everything for it, and just gave it away. So yeah, we lost the original 7,500, and then all the animals that were gorgeous. Yeah, no one wanted them at that point, and the females obviously were pets only, so I gave those all away.
And so with the females, remind me, so would the females get egg bound and die when they bred? Was that it?
Yeah, their oviducts would twist up. They egg bind and die.
Oh, wow.
And then they had a few people that tried to put them on eggs so that they could sell theirs, and it finally just came out that they were going to be fertile.
That's crazy. So they would like put them on like another
Yeah, I never heard that. Wow.
and try to sell that and say proven breeder female. My
Wow.
desert breed. That's
There
crazy.
was a couple, yeah, they wrapped them on some eggs, and then when they got called out, there was no proof. There's been a ton of shady shit in this hobby.
Yeah, listen, I remember doing my research back in the day, and I was like, oh, they burning snakes' dicks off? Like, what's going on? Like, I was, when they was burning off hemipenes and stuff, I was like they said that like back in the day they would burn off hemipenes so that way you couldn't catch up in projects and stuff like that. Yeah, so I was like, oh man, these people wild. They was like, oh yeah, watch, you know, make sure who you buy from, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh, ball python, cutthroat. But
That's crazy, dog.
Yeah, I heard that.
Way
Like
different
back in the
now.
day things. Yeah, way different.
So what's some other stuff, like crazy stuff they used to do back in the day?
Well, I mean, there's just a lot of lying. When people selling Morph Kings was really a big one. They were selling normals as het pieds, and they were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you know, then it comes out after people, because I mean, you got to think about it. Back then, nobody had shed testing. They'd have to wait and breed them. And it was real easy. Somebody could go out and make all these animals, make a ton of money, and bounce. And, you know, there's a lot of people that did that. Came in, made a lot of money, either legit or non-legit, and took off.
Yeah, it was a wild west back then. Sounds like it.
Yep.
But now it's so much harder to do that. Like to your point, like shed testing, and then social media, and so like work.
Yeah, social media. Oh yeah, social media undefeated. Social media undefeated.
That's crazy. Did anyone have either of you like ever been taken advantage of, either back in the day, currently, like with a snake deal?
I think in the past, I don't know if it was like, you know, purposeful or what, but I've been sent missexed snakes, you know, when I early on, so I didn't even know how to sex things, you know, so I wind up taking these things over. I remember the first time, so I bought a Spectre male, like in this at the time that was like, you know, Pumas and Super Stripes were like kind of just coming up, you know, and like so I invested a bunch of money in that one and grew this thing up, threw it in. I'm like, nothing's happening, you know. Well, I mean, you know, it wasn't 2024 yet, and you couldn't do the, you know, it was like, you know, just I still needed a male, and I was pairing females, and it just didn't work. But it took for a while to figure this out. I'm like, I had all these females lined up for it, you know, a bunch of Ivories and yellow belly combos. And it's like, and it's not, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that it was purposeful or whatever, but you know, kind of just sucks when you invest a bunch of money on something and then you try and track the person back down later on. You're like, hey, this thing wasn't this, and they're like, well, take it to this place and have them sex it, and you know, it was kind of just. By then, the whole craze of that gene had already passed. You know, it was like, well, what are you gonna do? You know, so I mean, I don't know that I've had other than that. You know, that could have been, like I said, perfectly innocent mistake. But
yeah, it can definitely happen. Yeah. The very first snake that I bought was missexed, and I bought it as a female, and it had some nice size on it. Ended up getting like big too, like 1,700 grams. Yeah. And so like the whole time I was thinking it was a female because I just accepted it on face value that it was a female. Like I said, it was the first snake I bought. Well, actually I bought like a group of snakes. Like I think I bought like 4 initially. And it was part of like that. And I grew it up as a female, thought it was a female the whole time, put it in the tub with a male, and then like I heard some boom, 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 boom. Like it was just like, it just sounded like it was going at it. I was like, man, what's going on in that tub? It sounded crazy. I ain't never heard that sound before. And like, they was going at it. And so ended up sexing it then and found out he was a male. So he was gone because it didn't really work for my projects anyway. Like at that time, I was really starting to think like differently about my projects. And I did want to like produce some clutches to like get some clutches under my belt because like all the things that I was like copying for the projects and stuff, that stuff was still growing up. So I did want to get like some experience, but I think it worked out for the best.
It happens to everybody. And I mean, I even bought an animal a few years ago. So years into me breeding, and I bought from a buddy that, you know, well-known breeder and had some experience. And he was like, oh, that's male. All right, cool. I never even bothered to sex it because I trusted him, you know. And then she just laid eggs for me a couple years later. I'm like, oh, son of a gun, you know. But I mean, bad on me for not checking it. But at the same time, you know, it wasn't like that. That was definitely not malicious. You know what I mean? That was just like, what, you know. So, I mean, yeah, it's cool. You know, you end up with a nice female, you know, DG combo female, you know, but when I needed the male to go with all the other het DG girls that I already had, they're like, oh, that kind of sucked. But no, that was bad on me, whatever, to not even double check it, you know, but whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, I know better now.
Yeah.
I check as soon as they come in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I recently, again, I don't think it was malicious. I just, you know, this was this season. From a few years ago, a female that was basically breeder size. It was a pastel leopard, what I thought to be het puzzle. So I think Mike got 2 clutches out of her for me. And I bred her this season. And so 3 clutches, no puzzles. And so, and I was like, hey, like, you know, you give people the benefit of the doubt, like known breeder. So I didn't immediately like, oh, you know, first clutch was 4 eggs. Second clutch, I think, was another 4 or 5. So it wasn't a lot to go off of with those. And then this year it was like, all right, now where they do have shed testing, let me spend the $40-$45, send it in and see what's going on. It ended up not being the way it was handled, you know, it wasn't great. I ended up just settling for something and just to kind of make it right. But, you know, I reached out to a few people, you know, reached out to the Discord for the Patreon, and then I reached out to Mike. You know, Mike, you know, I respect what Mike says. You know, Mike was like, you know, he told me, like, I'm a type of person that, you know, you can yell at me all day. That's not going to really do anything. I might laugh at you. You start yelling, you know, that doesn't really affect me. Yelling at me affect me. Mike told me, he said, if you was to take this to social media, I'll think differently about you. You know, and then after I got through crying, no, I'm just kidding. And so that's what he said that, and I was like, you know what, you're right. You know, so me and the guy, we ended up, you know, I guess working it out. I guess the best that we could in that situation. You know, 3 years later, but you know, again, I don't think it was malicious. I just think maybe it was some oversight. I mean, it's the pastel leopard pet. You know, that piece just didn't work out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Fortunately, I ain't had that happen yet.
yeah.
But
It's just the
yeah,
time.
I can
It's
see how
the
that sucks.
time. Yeah, it's just the time, you know, because what I thought I was potentially going to hit, you know, at that time, you know, just think 2020, 2021, getting a, you know, chocolate leopard puzzle, you know, that would have been amazing. So, you know, 3 years later, still no puzzle. So, yeah, it was, for me, it was just the time, the effort, you know, Mike's feeding this thing for years, you know, so it's just, unfortunate, but that's a part.
Yeah,
It's
that time.
a part and doing business.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. Yeah, that time is a big thing too. And like I find myself like running into that, like even with like some animals and getting them to like actually breed. You know what I mean? Like some like they go right along and like they progress quickly, you know what I mean, and do their thing, but then it's like others that are like slower. So particularly like with females and stuff like that, like if y'all either hatch a female or pick up a female and it's like several years and she still hadn't bred for you, and then a few years pass, like when she's supposed to be breeding, like what's y'all strategy like that? Do y'all move on? Y'all keep it?
I'll let Mike take this one.
So it's happened. He's got so I had Terrell's collection for a little while, you know, and so he's had some animals that have had problems. Either feeding, just taking forever to grow to size, you know, and I'm kind of an old school. I don't go with the ultrasound. I don't go with this. Oh, there's you know, whatever. So I'll still try to grow them to a particular size. You know, I like to grow my girls till the 1,800 grams at a minimum. That's just me. That's just the way I was kind of meant. The guy that I finally found to kind of teach me and mentor me, that's kind of how it was. But yeah, we've had animals where, you know, first year, all slugs, you know. Oh man, okay. Even though there was good size, good age, whatever. Next year, oh, all these eggs look great. Candle them, all infertile. Like what the hell, you know? And so you're like, what's going on? And finally, then like, give them a year off or whatever. Boom, get another time, and now you got hatched some of the best looking pies I've ever hatched out of this animal, you know. So it just takes a while, and something, you know, you can't. This is the right here would be the main reason I will never do this as a full-time gig, you know. And people can do it and be very successful with it. And
You talk about the unpredictability.
yeah, like anything with live animals can just be not live real quick, you know. You know, yeah.
Facts.
So for me, like that, the stress of that would be just too great to deal with. And I'm a firefighter. Like I could deal with stress, but to deal with how am I paying for my mortgage or whatever, like I'm not willing to base it all on animals, you know. And so kudos to those who can do it, but that's just not my style, you know. So
yeah, I had a female. Well, I'll say me and Mike. 2020 fire yellow belly Batman female. That was 2020.
You pay about $1 million to that.
Listen, she's still 500 grams. She's still 500 grams. But the guy, listen, I got it from Will RCR. Took care of me immediately. Like after I think a year of Mike trying everything he could, he was, you know, full refund. Like it was, and kept the animal. Like it was, you know what I mean? He hoped that it's still bred. Like he, you know, it was real easy. He was like, oh man, like crazy to hear that. Like, you know, took care of us. And then, so I built a relationship with Josh from Ball Python Shed. You know, I went to go trade it and like maybe somebody else could, you know what I mean, like do something with it. You know, ASFs aren't legal here in California, so maybe somebody has ASFs and they can make it work. And then so Josh, he was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you something off the clutch. Like I was like, okay, perfect, no problem. Yeah, Josh gave it back to me last year. He gave it back to me. Yeah, he couldn't. Like, he gave it back to me last year. So it just happens, man. I mean, that was a banger of female. You know what I mean? Even still now. Imagine 2020, that thing sitting on eggs. You know, so it's just, you know, it's again, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, she was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it'd be like
that
sometimes.
She literally eats to stay alive. Like she's one of the, you know, I don't know if she's vegan. I don't know if she's pescatarian. Like I don't know what she's on. Like she on that Go Green, but she eats to stay alive. Nothing, you know, nothing more, nothing less.
I was close to cutting little tofu squares into like little rat shapes and try that. We were trying everything, and you know, Terrell's on a ship at the time, and I'm like, man, I don't know what I've been doing this a while. Like I felt so bad, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, giving
the best part. Listen, the best part is when Mike would message me and be like, she ate 2 weeks in a row, and I'm like, oh shoot, we on the road. And then like the next month, he'd be like, oh no, she hasn't ate since I texted you the last time. Yeah, it's that bad.
We up. Hey guys, let's take a real quick sponsor break.
All right,
we'll be right back.
Known for his innovative approach to genetic shed testing and top quality ball pythons, Grey Rider Reptiles also excels in exceptional customer service and responsiveness. With a quick turnaround time, Charlie ensures you get the service you want and need. Visit shedtesting.com to explore his offerings and experience the best in the business. Don't miss out. Head to shedtesting.com today and unlock the power of your breeding projects.
Peace and love, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory Reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory Reptiles.
Big shout out to the sponsors. Everybody, welcome back. How long you been in the military, bro?
I've been in a little over 16 years now.
Oh wow! So you're almost close to retiring, huh?
I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Yeah. So I'm a naval officer. So yeah. So Mike held on. So I was enlisted. I earned a commission while I was enlisted, and so basically I was going into a new community, coming from submarines, and they were like, "Oh, you get no say in where you going next." So I had just started building my collection, thinking I was going to stay here. And me and Mike had built a relationship over about 2 years at that point. So I was like, let me throw this against the wall. I was like, hey man, what do you think about taking my rack in? At the time, it was only one rack. And I was like, hey, what do you think about taking my rack in? And you breed some of my stuff, I breed some of yours. I mean, it was pretty easy. You know what I mean? Like I think, it worked out. No paperwork. It was just off of our word and friendship. And he ended up keeping it for 3 years. Keeping my collection. Yeah, keeping my collection for 3 years. When I was in town, I would come up. I remember coming up, us doing a full clean out. Listen, I remember buying a snake and me shipping a nice snake full of mites to Mike's house. And again, these all sight of the scene. Like I would, hey man, you mind if I buy this snake? Sure. Hey man, like, hey, you mind if I send these 2 snakes to your house? Sure. So it was just like, and it was always, and that's how the sure sounded too. Like, sure, go ahead. And then I remember the best conversation was like, hey man, like, I think I'm gonna get out of this project. Oh no, the hell you ain't. Like, no, the hell you not. Like, it's been 2 years. Like, no, we reading these. Like, so it's just, it's a debt I can never repay. I do appreciate that. And so, just I don't like how Mike is uncomfortable with the uncertainty. That's how I feel about the Navy. With every time you're up for orders, you have no idea. Imagine a year from now, you not knowing where your son's going to be going to school, where you're going to be living at, if you're going to be on land or not. 1 year from now, 6 months from now. So I hate that, the unknowing of what they're going to do to what they're going to do to me and my family in 6 months. So that part I don't like. So you kind of get a window of like, okay, I know I'm here for at least 3 years. That second year comes, it's time for them to start negotiating again for where they're going to send you next. And Randy can tell you, it's a stressful time. Like, I'm not a person that wears a lot of stress, but that time frame is stressful.
That makes sense too. Randy, you were in the military too, or you are in the military, or you were in the military?
Oh, he's too old now.
I wish I could have had this. Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, that's why I corrected it. I was like, that's the beard. So you were in the military?
Yeah, I was in the Navy as well. I got out a long time ago. So I was gonna do 20 years just like Terrell, but like he said, there was times when Clinton was downsizing the military, and a lot of people got screwed over. And yeah, it kind of really sucked, because I did my 4 years and then I re-enlisted for 6 more. And then partway through that, I kind of got screwed over. So they told me basically, here's your choice. You can go to a new duty station or have an honorable discharge in like 3 days. And I mean, I was in my early 20s and I got screwed around. So I was like, you know what, I'm out. And I kind of regret it, because I'm a patriot at heart. And yeah, every time I go to the base and I see them in camis, I'm like, yeah, that should be me. So.
Gotcha. Going back to the snakes a little bit, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, how some people like say some genes, like there's nothing else to be done with it. Like, this gene's peaked. Sometimes like Pi get that label. There's other projects that like get that label. Like, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Like, do y'all think like there's any gene out there that's peaked, or you think it's just the people hadn't discovered the right thing to do?
I'll never ever be told again not to do a project. Years ago, I had hypo and I had a pied, and I was gonna make some double hets, and one of 2 guys that were kind of, like I said, kind of mentor. I wouldn't call him a mentor, but he definitely gave me some guidance early on. It's like, oh, that's gonna be so long, that's going to be just a project. You're not, it's going to take forever or whatever. And I think he thought I would be in and out in 2 years, like a lot of people do. And I passed on it. I didn't do it. And now Terrell and I are hatching hypopide stuff together, 12 years later, it's like, just stick to your guns, man. I think that there's what people in the market will tell you is good or bad and worth breeding. But if you want to breed it, breed it. Just as long as, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for you. If you like a gene, and I'll make it nicer. Like if you like the poop gene, and and you are the only one in the world who likes the poop gene, even though there's a super poop gene, you're going to be the only one with a rack full of poop. You know what I mean? So there has to be a market value for projects in the long run, but stick to your guns and breed what you think you'll like, because stuff I like, other people like, you just have to have the right market for it. So I would stick to your guns.
That makes sense. What about you, Randy?
Oh, there's a lot of genes. I mean, I gave up genetic stripe, let's say 10 years ago, but now here I am putting genetic stripes into Xanthic, clown, and something else that I have. I don't remember what. But yeah, there's a lot of genes that I've had and got rid of. I had Xanthics back 2008, and then I got rid of them, and now I'm had to get them all back and do them again. So, I mean, like Mike said, I always tell people do whatever you like. And when GHI first came out, I tell the story. I could have got into it for nothing. All I had to do was give a couple females to a buddy of mine. And I said no, because I didn't like dark genes at the time. I didn't want to open a tub. And every time I looked at it, thought, man, you're ugly, but you're going to make me money. On stuff. I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of OFY and Hataris here that I'm sitting on. And, you know, when I open the tub, though, and it means something to me, then it makes it all worth it. Because if not, if you put a $sign on everything you're making, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak. So,
for sure.
Yeah, make it something that means something to you, makes you smile, and you can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. So when you got out of Axanthic, was it because you were tired of Axanthic, or someone was like, Axanthic isn't going nowhere?
No, I think I got my first blade clown in like 2009. And I think I started chasing that. And at the time, I didn't have a bunch of racks. I only had so many animals. And so until I made my building, I wasn't able to keep expanding. So it was one of those things where some things had to go, and that went.
That makes sense.
I think, like Randy said about the genetic stripe kind of making a resurgence. Hypo was like I talked about hypo earlier.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
thing. It was like you couldn't give them away. You know, they were super cheap. But then I would throw them into stuff like a mimosa or something, and they looked like a funky pie, and people go crazy for them. You know, so if you put them in the right combinations, it's just a matter of your imagination as to what it might look good. No, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it doesn't pan out the way you want, but I mean, you'll never know without trying. And
Exactly.
I never let people tell me what the value of my animals are. Like I would still sell those things at like $500-600 when people were, you know, throwing them on their table for like $200-300, and I'm like, they would still sell, you know, because they were high quality. It looked great. I would talk to you when you came to the booth. You know, there's a whole bunch that goes into it, but at the same time, like like I said, don't let people tell you what to do. You know, like follow your passion and your whatever. Again, I always think about if there's some sort of you know, don't get so heavily involved in them. Might not pan out for you. You know, maybe do it in small groups or something.
That makes sense. How are y'all with pricing right now? Like as far as like whether or not you'll like budge on prices and stuff like that. Are y'all pretty flexible like with stuff? Does it kind of really depend on like the venue, like whether you're doing something in person or whether it's like Morph Market or Instagram or something like that?
So what I always do, and right now it's tough because a lot of people have slashed prices so bad because the economy's been, you know, in a little bit of a dip. And Randy's seen it because we've gone, you know, the number of years we've all been doing. He and I have been doing this. Terrell's starting to see it. Bad market year, election year. Sometimes there's always a dip, but it always rebounds. Like I've been told years and years and years now, ball pythons are just done. I've been told that since like 2012, like my first year breeding. I'm like, here I am, and Randy's been doing this for a long time, and obviously we've seen that people can be very successful with it. So what I've always done is I go through Morph Market. I'll look at the ranges. Let's just call it an orange dream pied, and I'll look at the range, and you'll see the ones that are like just tanked, right? $300, and you'll see the ones that are like, this guy's crazy, right? And I just try to find out where my animals, and I give myself a pretty objective view, is to say, hey, you know, they're never towards that low quality. They're always toward the high quality. But in my, you know, asking for astronomical prices, no. I think there's always some flexibility. When I first produced Orange Dream Pies, and this was years ago, like I called up Ozzy and Justin and a couple other people that there was only a few people that were doing Orange Dream Pies. I'm like, hey, what do I price this at? Because I didn't want to undercut a market or any of that stuff either, you know. So, you know, you can do some looking and some research as to how to price your stuff, you know. So I don't want to set it like way high above, but there's nothing to me like, hey, a high quality animal is a high quality animal. It doesn't matter whose name's behind it, you know. So if all my stock came from a Justin or an Aussie or those guys, you know, like quality's there, you know. So I price it accordingly. That's how I've done it.
Gotcha. Are you flexible on price? Like first, do you do payment plans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've kind of been burned on them like a little bit too, because I am a nice guy. I'm understanding like, hey, things happen, you know. So I have kind of a typical structured, you know, in the under $500, I generally don't do a payment plan on. If we get to that, you know, $2,000, yeah, I'll give them 30, 60. I've done as much as 90 days. I've gone and had people string me along for a long time. And it's just like, well, you know, whatever. The money's coming in. I'm just a nice guy. So you can get you can get pushed over a little bit, but at the same time, like I'm just in it for the fun. I love this hobby. I've made a lot of good friends, and you know, some of those friends are the ones that take the time paying for stuff off, but it is what it is. You know, eventually everything gets paid off and call it good. But
are you flexible with the price? Like when you do a payment plan, like let's say you have something for like $3,000 and somebody wants to get it for like $2,500, but they want like a 60-day payment plan. Like, are you flexible then, or are you pretty hard on the price if they're doing a payment plan?
No, I think once we negotiate a plan and we kind of talk about how it's going to go, if we are kind of leading down that payment plan route, then I might be a little bit more stick to kind of the price. I definitely have gotten to a point now where I take a down payment that's non-refundable unless something happens to the animal. That's one thing I never did in the past. And now it's like, hey, sorry, man, I can't just, because I've had animals and people say, oh, I want it, and then never pay up. And like months go by, I'm like, I could have this animal sold 10 times, you know, but because of your buddy, I waited on it, and you didn't go for it. So I now am getting at least a 20% down payment that's like not refundable unless something happens here. If something happens to the animal, you get all your money back, you know. But that's it.
Gotcha. Randy, Terrell, you guys do pretty much the same thing, or do you do something different?
Yeah. I'm a one I feed off of the, you know, economy. So, you know, I know now times are a little bit different than it was maybe 2-3 years ago. So, you know, if you want to do a payment plan on 500, we gonna work something out. Like, for me, that's the most exciting part. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm business minded. You know what I mean? I'm graduating my MBA in February. So, for me,
congrats.
Appreciate it. For me, that's the best time is when he's like, you want an animal, and you know what I mean. Like, let's make something work for both of us. So I did a payment plan just recently for 500. You know, I might make you, you know, we might do 50% down, just to something that's gonna make you want to finish paying it off, something like that. But you know, you turn down 500 here, 500 here, 500 here. That's 1,500 that you know you could have had in 30 days, 45 days. So I'll do a payment plan as long as it makes sense for both sides, regardless. And if you come in, I got something for $3,000 and you're offering 2,500 and you're willing to put down, you know, 30-40%. on a good number of days, then yeah, I can work with you. You know, because for me, the 30 days versus today, that's here and there. But if you're trying to do 4 or 5 months and with 10% down, that's, you know, that I can't really do too much with that, just because I don't know how serious you are with it. But I've gotten snakes on payment plans. Some payment plans went over what I expected. You know, so I understand it. I know things happen. So, you know, I don't shy away from, you know, meeting in the
What are
middle when it
people
comes to
like? What are people that you had like the payment plans with and it went over? Like, were they understanding? Like, how did they react?
Oh, yeah, understanding. Yeah, understanding. I mean, I had one. I think I was in I can't even remember what happened, but it was one. I was over, and I didn't even know I was over. But he had already sent the money back. Like it was cool. Like, hey, I'm gonna keep her anyway. You know, like, and he refunded the deposit plus like the other whatever. And then I was like, oh, are you sure? Like, I can cash you out now. My bad. Like, that's on me. Like, I can cash you out right now. He was like, oh, no, we're good. You already got your money back. We're good. I'm just going to breed it. And I was like, okay. Like, you know, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So it's like, because it's just to understand it. For me, I just, you know, I know how things work nowadays. I don't want a bad rap. You know, I want, you know, great service. I don't want anyone to have any ammo against me or be able to say anything bad about me. So my goal is to, on the same side, you know, when buying as selling. So I want that communication, everything to go both ways, regardless if I'm on the buying end or selling end.
Gotcha. Anything to add, Randy?
Even though I'm unapproachable with resting bitch face, you know, I am probably one of the easiest guys to work with.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
So what I'll do is, you know, much like Mike, I'll look at where things are and I'll price them accordingly. Because same thing, I don't want to crash anyone's market. And, you know, a lot of times people get a hold of me and they find out they get way better deals than they would have imagined. I'll do payment plans and I really work with people a lot because at the end of the day, I had a conversation with someone probably 10, 15 years ago, and we're saying every one of these animals came out of an egg. I didn't go and work 2 weeks to hatch that snake. I put 2 snakes together, they fucked, gave me eggs. And, and so, you know, I honestly, and these guys probably know, I mean, I give a lot of snakes away.
I was going to say that. Yeah, Randy will quickly say, take it, we'll work it out later. Like, Randy will do that quick. And I've seen Mike do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I'm at shows, so I'm a very low stress guy in the fact that you come up to my table and I'm not going to jump across the table to try to sell you a snake, but I'm not going to turn my back to you. I usually will tell people, if you have any questions, ask. Like, I'm there to talk to you. I'll answer your questions, but I'm not going to hound you. And I tell a lot of people, if they're looking at one of my snakes and say they're looking at Mike's snake, and I'll tell them, whatever one moves you, whatever one, you're going to have this animal for 25 years. If you like Mike's better than mine, or mine's a little cheaper or a little more, whatever the case, go buy his. And, you know, my favorite is kids. I mean, I'll sit down. I know the one in particular, this little girl came up with her family, pointed a snake out. She's like, that's it. That's the one. And the mom asked her, she's like, are you sure? And she goes, yeah. And so the little girl had some of her own money. And it turns out she had anxiety. And mom was saying that her therapist said ball pythons are good for anxiety because it makes them calm down. And the snake will feed off of the emotions. And I already had the snake discounted, and she's giving me money. And then once she gave it to me, I started handing money back. And she looked at her mom and she was like, what's this? And she's like, it's a discount. And yeah, so I'm actually really, really easy. But at the same time, that's what opens me to getting fucked over by people. So it's a balance. You just gotta weigh every person in every situation.
Yeah. That's one of the good things about having like relationships with, say, Randy, Terrell, whoever, over the years. Like, I can bounce people to other tables. If I don't have the animal you're looking for, I'm going to refer it to somebody that I would be willing to buy from, and so that kind of keeps everything for the buyer, usually a more positive experience. And, I got to say, hey, send them over to Randy's table and say, hey, the guy looks unapproachable, but he's a good guy, and I would buy from him. So, you put that little reference out there, and I think that does a lot for people. The other thing too, like I've told people, like, hey, you're not ready for this animal, or like I've had people like say in New York want to buy something from me, and I'm like, financially it just doesn't make sense because you'll be paying half the price of this animal for shipping. And I'll refer them to somebody that's closer to their area, like I've got some breeder buddies in New York and wherever, East Coast guys, that's like, hey, maybe it just makes a little bit more sense to buy that, if it's, $1,000 animal and I'm just going to waive the, or more, and I'm going to waive the shipping fee or something for them. Like that's one thing, but if the shipping fee and the animal costs are about the same, it's like, I try to make it like just pleasant for everybody, and then that comes back. Those people end up referring, or they buy animals later on. It all comes back to you in a positive manner. So.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, Randy, you had a question about the Morph King.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I just saw that. So yeah, for Cody. So that was about 20 years ago. So I'm sure Cody wasn't even in ball pythons at the time. That's the only bad thing, is now there's so many people coming in. This poor guy had no idea about the old Morph Kings. And they're completely different. This was, like I said, this was like 20 years ago. God, I'm so bad with names. I can't even think of the guy's name right now. But yeah, it's not this Cody with this new Morph Kings at all.
We got you cleared up and squared away, Cody.
You inherited a bad name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck. Someone come up to him and be like, hey, yeah, they said you were selling fake het pies on the podcast. So what's next?
Approachable,
Say again?
That's just being all part of unapproachable, talking shit about these guys, and they didn't even know what was going on.
Oh yeah. That's definitely how you have to lead off the conversation.
Yeah.
So, what you guys got working up next? Like, what's next season looking like for y'all? Like, are y'all on like a real season, or do y'all kind of go year round? Like, how's it work for y'all?
Yeah, I would say I'm on a pretty traditional timeline. So I just had my first pairings last week. So I had virgin females, and then I had females that laid, 6-7 months ago. That I just started pairing back up. So I did it, I did a Mike's Way 2 last season. I actually ended up selling my ultrasound around December. I didn't really know how to use that thing anyway. I don't think it was really that much of a quality thing, but I ended up selling anyway. And I started pairing in October. I stopped pairing in June, and I was 23 out of 24 clutches. So, I say pretty.
You said 23 out of 24.
Okay.
Hey.
You said 23 out of 24.
Yeah, 23 out of 24 clutches. Yeah. No ultrasound or nothing. Just started pairing in October, stopped in June. So real fortunate this past season.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good rate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that's not, I'm not gonna be batting, 97%, every season, but I was looking for 60-70%.
Yeah.
But it was great. I went into this season saying, hey, I know that the market isn't what it used to be, but I went in with the intention of I'm gonna breed everything, and I'm gonna make trades, and that's actually worked out really, really great for me this season. The things that I had an abundance of, or whatever the case is. I traded for genes I didn't have in my collections. So there's been a few feature Ramery Royals. You know, like he got me some bongo clown stuff, some hurricane clown stuff that I didn't have, so on and so forth. So it just that was my intention, was to, you know, come in, breed, and at some point get the stuff that I didn't have that I wanted to breed. So it was either selling and buying it or making trades and getting it. So I'm in the whole back phase right now, where I'm just trying to make the stuff that I want to keep, and then the other stuff, you know, sell or trade.
That makes sense. What about you, Randy? You on a year-round type thing, or you on like a?
Yeah, I pretty much I breed year-round, because I mean, the thing people have to realize is they retain sperm for a year. So instead of having my males go hard and heavy at a certain time, I keep them breeding year-round. They stay on food. I don't have any males really that go on food strikes anymore. So
Okay, and so with your girls is like retaining sperm for like a minute. Like, are you like explain that process to me? Like, I get the whole process of like retaining sperm, but like logistically, are you saying that you might like pair a male up and then like, I don't know, like maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months without you doing a whole bunch of pairing with that male, you still getting clutches? Like, clear it up for me.
no, so just like Terrell, I'm on my 3rd ultrasound and I still suck. You know, it's more of a footrest for me right now. So what I'll do is, more so than trying to get them right at that exact moment, I'll just, if I have, say my male back here is got 4 females, then I'm going to just split it up. So I'll go into my breeding plan and I'll look at the 4 females, and I might hit this month I'm hitting here. Then 3-4 weeks later, I'm hitting this female, then another, and then I'll rotate back up. And,
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, because what happens, I see, if you go through a certain breeding period, and I've had a male before that's gone to like 9 females, and he was just a breeding machine. So if you've got that window, he's just breeding and breeding and breeding. And if they stop eating, I've had my very first puzzle, he stopped feeding. And, you know, because I was starting to breed him. I needed to get him out there. And I thought I was going to lose him. And I took him to the vet, and I was like, never again. I'm just going to keep breeding year round. And same thing, I'm nowhere near Terrell's numbers. Like he hit this season really well. Mine, I don't even breed half my females. Like I'll look at a female and be like, wow, I didn't even assign you. I kind of forgot about you, because I have my certain goals, and that's what I'm going for. I'm not going to overproduce and flood the market. And yeah, if something doesn't go, I might end up, I actually saw a lot of females that I'll get them up to size and never get a clutch out of them, because I've, changed direction, or I don't want to overuse that male.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I'm similar in that. I think once you get a certain number of animals, you don't necessarily mean to go to full time, or full year round breeding, but females are going to go all throughout the year, so you're kind of breeding year round in a sense. A lot of people got into the ultrasound game, and I thought, for years I'm like, oh, this would be great, and I never got one because I'm too cheap to buy one. But I just got to do the old school palpating, and I had really good success with just that.
Yeah, listen, Mike the palpating king. Palpating king.
It's just a little technique, and but I've seen people who get this sense that, if I have the ultrasound, I won't overuse my males. You won't overtax them. And then they end up pairing that male that I would just maybe do 4 females. I think is usually the max that I'll do a male to. 1 male to, 4 females. They'll do 10, 15 females. It's like, how are you not overtaxing that male? You're
It works out the same.
You're putting that animal to 3 times the amount of females that I would do, and you're absolutely going to overtax them. I think it's just it winds up being this chasing the dollar a lot of times, and I think it's kind of can because I bought some of those males. You know, I bought males from breeders who were big time, and getting into these things where they were just hammering these males, and you get this thing, and you're just like, wait a minute, it looks like what my animal would look like in a year. This 4-year-old, 5-year-old animal that's this proven breeding machine just doesn't eat, doesn't do anything. It's skinny, and it's like, well, shit. It's.
I love when someone tells a story and you know about the story, so you can kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Like,
listen,
true story, right? So I get my ultrasound, we break it out, and so we're trying to calibrate it. And Mike, I was like, oh yeah, Mike, I want like we want to pair this girl. So Mike pulls her out, she runs through. Mike's palpating her. It's like, yeah, probably like 12 millimeters. Like we get the ultrasound, put the gel in there. No. Like 12.6. I'm like, what in the?
I remember I said a ping pong ball.
Oh yeah,
I said a ping pong ball.
Yeah, we googled it. Yeah, we googled it.
And we googled what the dimension of a ping pong ball, and I was off. It was like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. I think the ping pong ball was 30, and it was like we measured it at 28 millimeters.
Yeah, it was it was crazy. So, yeah, like I'm like, okay, yeah, this works and Mike works. Okay, good. Like,
But I am big on, like, I don't breed my girls every year too. Like Randy said, I don't think I've been bred 20% of my girls last year because I know that the trend comes down, so I don't breed as many. But at the same time, like, I'll breed a girl 2 years in a row max, and then I'll automatically give them a third year off just to recuperate, just to put weight back on. I'm not here to puppy mill these animals out, and none of these guys are. Otherwise, I wouldn't really associate it with them. Like there's breeders out there that are running like a puppy mill, and they're just breeding and breeding and breeding, and they'll have 100 bells at a table at a show. It's like, why? So that tanks the market. People fire sailing everything and throwing everything on auctions tanks the market. Somebody's like, oh, they want to buy an animal from me, so I could have bought this one for $60 on it. You should have then. Like I had a guy tell me that my pricing was too high. This was years ago. I was giving a fat deal on a bunch of proven breeder females and stuff, and buying like proven breeders, like people will talk down on it at sometimes, say, oh, you shouldn't buy an animal. You should only buy from certain people. Like you should buy from reputable sources. So whether you're getting an adult female that's proven or a hatchling, you should be getting a good quality animal regardless. But this guy tried to tell me, oh, I could have bought this animal right here for, it's like a fraction of the price on an auction. I'm like, you should have done it then, because this is I don't care. Like I'm not going to go dip my prices down to compete with auction prices. Auctions for me are great. We've done them a bunch for charities and fundraisers, but that's it. Like I don't if it's just a clearinghouse sale, like I can't get behind doing the auctions for that. That just tanks the market for everybody, and that's just my opinion on that. So
yeah, and I don't feel like auctions should be like the barometer that you judge like where the market price of that animal should be, because it's totally different.
Yeah, so many things that go in. Yeah, so many things. Like listen, I'll tell you one thing. Josh, he gave me one of the best strategies on the auction, right? Because I would just, I throw one animal up there, like, let me just see how it does. Yeah, man. And he was just like, oh yeah, you do it on this day because of this day, and I was like, oh, like you got this thing at a science, and it's just like there's so many things that go into it, like when's payday, what's going on this month, like so on and so forth. So you can't really take, oh, this sold for this on auction, and I think that's one good thing about auctions is that they don't post what they sold for. So I think that's a great feature not to have. with the auctions is that they won't actually tell you what they sold for. But I've sold a few animals on auction, and I've gotten smoked. And then I bought a few animals. I'm like, oh shoot, like
You smoked them.
yeah, I smoked them. Yeah, so it just depends on it really just depends on the time of the week, time of the month. Auctions are so ebbs and flows. But I think for me it was when I saw people's whole store on the auction, like the whole half of that page was there. Like I was like, man, like how many what membership they got? Because it was just like 8, 9 straight animals, and I was like, oh, that's that whole clutch is on the auction. It's just back to back to back to back, and I was like, oh wow. But I think they got rid of that or something like that. They limited how many.
I heard it was back. Like I thought they got rid of it too, but then somebody told me it was back. Just
that's probably. I mean, it's 25 a slot. I think it was. Like I'm sure that. I mean, that's for Morph Market, that's some income for them. So that's probably why they bring it back.
Yeah, I heard they hit the block on it.
Yeah, literally.
Because I thought it was a limitation too. But yeah, I had the same experience with auctions. Like sometimes, like I do good on it, and then other times I'm like, man, got smoked on it.
Yeah, I got smoked.
It's just part of it.
Yeah, the only auctions I've done have been charity fundraisers, and we've done well. You get a lot of people in the community that donate animals, and we've done really well on some fundraisers. But even still, you're like, man, really? Like there's vultures out here just trying to pick, some really, because we got some really good donors every once in a while. I've had Justin and different people, Miguel put animals in there, and we all have put some really nice quality animals in, and people like give them like $200. You're like, I know it's all going to charity. Just going, I'll take every dollar, but it's like, oh man, come on, people.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing that blows my mind at Tinley. Like, well, not at Tinley. I'm sorry, just the U.S. auctions. Like, I love the auctions. I love them. Like, Randy can tell you, every time I see you going to auction tonight, he's like, no. I'm like, oh, but I love going to the auctions because it just, it's just, you get to see everybody in a different light. Everybody's cutting loose, and you'll see, I mean, I don't even know the name of these things, but you'll see a boa with like 5 gene, like het this, whatever. And it's like $200, and then you put a bottle of like Don Julio, and it's like $1,000. Yeah, it's like what? Like, this is a reptile auction, right? Like it's crazy to see. Like, and I was there for when the table at Tinley went for $10,000. But it's all for a good cause. But I think sometimes people, forget what those special auctions are for. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it is just always funny. Like, somebody draws so and so's daughter, drew this picture, and it's like, oh, $3,000, and it's like Sunset Clown, like 1,000. Like what?
Nice. But guys, we done came up on like 90 minutes or whatever. So do want to wrap this up, man. Be respectful of your time, and
appreciate it.
I got to get to bed as well. I definitely appreciate y'all coming out tonight, man. It's been dope. Definitely enjoyed talking to you. Hopefully I get to link up with y'all at a show at some point in the not so distant future.
Well, you're gonna have to come out this way.
Yeah, you gotta come.
Yeah, I want to make it out there.
Yeah,
one of these days, definitely make it out there.
You got from YouTube. Yeah, Randy and Mike. Which one do you think is bigger, Pomona or Anaheim? If someone was going to a show, you would say Pomona.
Pomona's bigger. I always tell people about Anaheim is if they have a family, you're right across the street from Disneyland. So make a family vacation, and then it justifies you coming out to a reptile.
You're at Disneyland when you go to Anaheim, and that's what I tell people. I was like, come to the Anaheim show. You can come on Monday, and your schedule will be packed all the way up until the show. Like you have plenty of time to bring your family.
One thing about Anaheim, there's always other shows going on at that whole venue too. Yeah, there could be
come watch an Angels game, go to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. You know what I mean? Like
that's right. Angels
medieval times.
Like,
do your thing.
No. Now it's the Pet Expo.
You said it.
So they have an aquatic room. They have birds. They have the biggest one is obviously the reptiles. And if you walk in the front door and you look down the row, you can't see the other side. I think it's like 3 football fields.
Yeah,
wow.
Oh yeah, it's a huge venue. Huge venue. Yeah. It's and I think I can't remember how many Romney gets through the door, but
if
it's packed.
If it is your first go around at an expo, overwhelming. It is. You can't get halfway through that thing and be like, what is going on? There's so much to see. Anaheim's a smaller venue altogether. There's a lot more to do around Anaheim. If you're coming just and you're all a reptile enthusiast in your family, then Pomona's not that far away from everything else. You can still go to Disneyland. You can still go to whatever else. It's not that far. But
LA is still LA.
Yeah. But Pomona is physically going to be the bigger venue. It's massive. It's crazy. But yeah, there's a lot to see there. And then Rami puts on great shows. He advertises well. There's Repticons. There's other shows here. They're smaller. They don't advertise. They ask the vendors to advertise. It's like, okay, cool. But Super Show, he's got billboards out. He's on radios. They're on the news. He's always got newscasters coming in, doing interviews in the mornings and stuff like that. So he really does put on a good show. I think collectively it brings in more people. It brings in more bigger vendors and whatnot. So it's definitely the one to go to if you're going to come out here.
Gotcha. I didn't realize the venue was that big.
Oh, yeah.
Like that big. I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was like 3 football fields big.
It's huge. And Rami is probably the best promoter out there. I've been lucky enough to know him since he owned a pet store. And I've gone to other shows where it was way too hot and the promoter finally got some fans and they wanted the customers cool, not the animals. Mm-hmm. I've seen Rami have that same exact thing. And he just called and got portable ACs out. He just all the way around. He's a class act, everything he does. And to me, I love when he'll call me up every now and then and ask me about certain animals and that. And yeah, very unlike me, super approachable, really nice guy.
They ain't gonna let that go.
RBF.
No.
So, but no, Rami he's the real deal. He's not just some guy collecting money at the door. He cares about all the animals and all the people.
Nice.
Okay. Nice. Collectively, anybody watching this from now on, Randy is very approachable. He just doesn't look like it.
Teddy bear, a big teddy bear.
There you go. Yeah. Go to his booth.
He cleared it up for everybody.
He does bite, though. He does bite, but go to the booth.
But that's only Joe or Donald, though.
All right, guys, man. I appreciate it, man. Again, and I appreciate everybody coming through tonight. Appreciate Replay Game. Y'all make sure y'all drop a comment.
Yeah, thanks for opening your platform up for us.
Yeah, it's great.
Anytime. Always an open invite.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Y'all. All right, for Clutch Conversations, I'm Mike. The lovely lady behind the scenes is Takara. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.
Had to slip that in.
Did you say go Dodgers?
I did.
All right.
I step up in the spot, they know the deal. Chilling with that thrill from the bottom to the top. I'm the king of the hill still. Eyes on me, feel the heat. It's a thrill feel. Got that shine in my hand, man. It's giving them chills. Still, they wanna taste, they wanna see what's in my sleep. Believe, got that fire in my grip. Yeah, they need the fiend. No counterfeit, no tricks. Just the realest thing, pure and uncut. Got them down, dropping to your knees, freeze. It's that glass, baby, crystal clean, pristine. Make you wanna dive deep like you're living in a dream. Got them hooked on the vibe like an addicted fiend. This that glass, baby, you know what I mean. In the night it glows, whole place lit, can't quit. Every eyes on me, they can handle this shit. Hit, feel the rush, feel the push. Yeah, it's too legit bliss. Once you get a taste, ain't no way you'll quit this. Pure like the rain, cold like the snow. Yo, they crave for the touch, yeah, they wanna know. dope. What's the secret mojo? Got that perfect glow, you know. Take a hit of this life, let your worries go slow, slow. That glass, baby, crystal clean, pristine. Make you wanna dive deep like you living in a dream. Got them hooked on the vibe like an addicted fiend. This that glass, baby, you know what I mean. They come from miles around just to get a glimpse. Whispering in the dark, making deals with pimps. Got that high grade shit, make the whole world limp. Glimpse, I'm the dealer of dreams, call me the main event set. Ain't no fakes, ain't no lies, it's the realest deal. Chill, got them looking for that glass, yeah, they love to feel real. I'm the plug, I'm the source, got that golden seal. This that glass, baby, now you know it's real. This that glass, baby, crystal clean, pristine. Make you wanna dive deep like you living in a dream. Got them hooked on the vibe like an addicted fiend. This that glass, baby, you know what I mean. In the end, they all come back, craving more and more. Once you get a taste, ain't no closing that door. I'm the king of the game, hear the lion roar. This that glass, baby, and it's what you're here for. In the end, they all come back, craving more and more. Once you get a taste, ain't no closing that door. I'm the king of the game, hear the lion roar.